Second match of round number 2 in the upper bracket, and we have a banger game on our hands. It's JD Gaming against Billy Gaming. LPL first against the second seed. Two of the very best teams in the world battling each other in up to 5 games. And as always, less talking, more action. Let's get into game 1.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Both teams are coming out of round 1 with a clean sweep against an opponent from the LCS. And it is JDG starting from blue side with 369 on the on, Kanavi on the Kha'Zix, Knight on the Ahri, Rule on the Aphelios, and Missing, playing the Thresh. And for BLG, it's been on a Sion, Sun on the Nidalee, Yagao playing the Lissandra, Elk the Jinx, and on, he's playing the Yordle Lulu. We'll see how this team's got to figure out. And with 4.5 minutes into the game, it's Elk looking at 4 members of JDG going for the dive, and they want to make sure that this villain is locked up for good. 2 minutes later, it's BLG taking the first dragon of the game, and another 2 minutes later, we see Missing there on the Thresh with a flash E on Elk. Kanavi leaping in, he gets stunned, but in the end it will be Rulor taking the kill. Around Herald, we now look at Sun, who pounces on Missing, and BLG firing on all cylinders to take out the Thresh. But on the other hand, it's JDG bringing down the Herald. You go with the flash engage on Kanavi, and the jungler gets slain. But 369, he answers back with a Forge God, that is massive. And JDG in return, they take out Bin and on. Knight now on the Ahri, dashing into the Dragon Pit, and he finds Elk for the 3rd kill for his team in this situation. 12 minutes in, and we see Kanavi there attacking on, going in with a sleep, followed by Nike, and with a grim-faced zeal, this Ahri is going for the little Yordle. Not even the Frozen Tomb can stop him. But the price is high because BLG, they're able to trade back Kanavi for the supporter. And now they're going for Ruler, and Missing, they're on the retreat. Sunny throws his spear, Ruler sidesteps it, but he gets trapped by the Ring of Frost, and this will be his undoing. The second dragon taken by BLG there as well after only 30 minutes, as we see Sweet Shelly with her first headbutt of the game onto the mid lane tier 1 of BLG. After 60 minutes, it's first turret gold for JDG as Knight takes out the outer turret in the bot lane. Second turret of the game goes to JDG, 369 with the Forge God snipe there. Forces Yagao into the Frozen Tomb as it's Bin with the unstoppable onslaught on Kanavi. The follow-up damage is huge, and BLG, they take out the JDG jungler, but Ruler says be ready for my revenge. It's a Moonlight Vigil into Flamethrower, double kill for him, as JDG also takes out on. And so they trade 3 for 1. They take the Herald. And as a cherry on top of it, the mid lane outer turret. 19 minutes into the game, it's a skirmish around the Dragon Pit. JDG, they summon the Rift Herald. By this, they put pressure on BLG, trying to force him into mistakes. On the top screen, Spin now with the unstoppable onslaught. But 369 with a searing charge into the pillar of his Q knocks up 3 members of BLG. Nonetheless, 369 he falls to the feet of Bin, but he will be slain in return by Kanavi. The rest of BLG is chasing Knight, but they now back off. They decided not to go for the dragon. They lose the objective. Plus, they're now in grave danger because their health bars are low. Ruler, he connects the Moonlight Vigil on. That procs the sniper rifle, which lets the shark crumbs fly. Yagao falls under the turret. Elk, he pulls out desperately every damage that he can find. Gale forces into the grey screen. And Sun, he will be the last victim. JDG, they score an ace. And we now see them at the bottom right screen taking the inner turret in the mid lane. Where we see Onno with the onslaught headbutting into nothing but wall. Missing's Q, the death sentence living up to its name as it pulls Sun into the misery. Yagao had to use his ult and the flash to get away there with his life. But the Sion gets pulled back by another Q of Missing into mayhem and mutilation. And he gets sent into the glory of death, walking as the living dead. But he won't do that much harm, and so JDG, they continue to push forward. And now it's Yagao who takes damage, and a leap of Kanavi will send him a couple of steps further back to his base. And so JDG, they trade 4 for 1. They can take the Baron Nashor, destroy the outer turret in the top lane. And just a couple of seconds later, the inner one as well. And so with a bit more than 23 minutes into the game, JDG, they are aiming now to take this game 1 for good. The inner turret in the mid lane falls, and Sun has to take a huge chunk of damage there. And now the inhibitor itself will go down. It's an almost 12k gold lead, and not just the item advantage, but also the level advantage is just too big for BLG to do something against this invade. And so it's been lonely and isolated, falling probably for the last time in this game. The first Nexus turret is down. 369 and Kanavi, they are now going for on. He barely survives there. As the second Nexus turret falls, the Nexus is exposed and JDG, they can enter it right here and right now, while they're playing around with their prey. As they take down Elk, and now they're looking for another kill on Sun. They will take it. And now, they are finally going to take Game 1. The first one was a pretty much one-sided affair, but now BLG there taking a run-up from the blue side with Bin on the Fiora, Sun on the Va, Yagao, he's playing the Ahri, and Elkanon on the bot lane. On Aphelios and Alistair. For JDG, it's 369 on the Crocodile from the deserts of Shurima, Renekton, Kanavi, he's playing the Maokai Knight, he's on the Cassante, and on their bot lane, Rula and missing on Jinx and Braum. And now, don't get confused by all the three screens and keep your eyes on the right one. We see on there getting ignited by missing, and Rula squeezing his fish bones until he draws the first blood. Now 369 are getting ganked there by Sun and the Vault Breaker Q, and this will be his doom. JDG after 7 minutes taking the first dragon of the game, and we hop into the Herald Pit just a minute later, where we see Sun bringing it down, but he just cannot collect the eye of the Herald because Kanavi is blocking it. And now Elk on Bin and Sun, they're going in for the first team fight. Knight on the Cassante, he pulls it out, but the charge and Tofu strikes, the ADC falls, and also Sun, who goes in a little bit too deep with the Vi, gets slain by his sister Jinx. Almost 4 minutes later, it's on with Alistair on the flash Q into the backline, and now Sun again going in on the Vi, and this time he finds his sister for a little bit of family revenge. And they also take out the JDG jungler, Kanavi, he's down. Knight, he tried to trade one back on Sun, but now he has to disengage. Because BLG, they stand too strong, and they will take the second dragon of the game. And about 2 minutes later, the second herald of the game, also landing in the pockets of the LPL's second seed. But the first turret goal will go to JDG, they take out the outer turret in the bot lane just before BLG takes the tier 1 in the top lane. And Shelly there, checking the stability of the tier 1 in the mid lane of JDG. And just seconds later, it's the flash W of Kanavi there on Yagao. The flame jumpers, the glacial fissure, everything is thrown at the mid lane of BLG is taken out. Elk with the revenge on the Maokai, as it is now 369 Knight and the Jinx ult that will be too much for Sun to survive. And also Knight and On will find their screen grayed out. And so JDG, they trade 3 for 2. But it will be BLG obtaining the next dragon, destroying the outer turret in the mid lane, and in the bot lane as well within the next minutes. The game is all even out and we find ourselves back here on the mid lane. JDG, they're a bit on the retreat, they're outnumbered by 1. Until 369 is TPing in, and the Renekton with the dominance into the slice and dice goes in on 4 members of BLG. The Jinx ult flies in as well, but it's just not enough for JDG. Knight is already fallen. 369 follows, and it becomes a disaster for JDG as Yagao connects the charm on Ruler. The Jinx lurches towards the grey screen as Yagao flash Qs are missing to take the triple kill. And Kanavi, he still has remaining tree on the jungle. On BLG, they will take the inner turret as well. And now they're going for the Baronesha. But JDG, they will be fast enough to take the next dragon before BLG returns from the recall. And the Baron power play is already over. We're almost 30 minutes into the game as we see BLG taking the inner turret in the bot lane. And the next dragon, force all point. And we're going for the next Baronesha that is already low on HP. The JDG jungler in the vicinity, but Kanavi, he's not going for the objective, but instead for Yagao, who turns golden. At 369 at Night, they take out Elkanon. The bot lane of BLG has been erased, and so has Yagao. Sun has found a getaway, but Bin, he will be grey screened by an excited Ruler. And so the next Baron power play goes to JDG, and they are now steamrolling the outer turret in the mid lane. And now taking the next dragon, and so it's soul point for both teams. The question who will obtain Dragon Soul could be a deciding factor in this game. And we're now already 35 minutes into the game as we see BLG there on the retreat through Topside River. But on the Alistair, he gets caught and sent into the inevitable grey screen. And so it's JDG now, after being on the drawback a couple of minutes before. They're now trying to find their way into the driving seat of this game, as they're bulldozing through the mid lane, taking down the inner and the inhib turret and the inhibitor itself. And we're more than 38 minutes into the game. They take the outer turret in the top lane, moving further forward towards the inner one, where BLG draw the line of defense. And it's been with the engage on 369, and also Sun with assault on Kanavi. And so it's now both top laners and junglers in a fight. Missing joints to make it a 3v2. The Maokai gets low, about to be shot by the Vibe. But again it's Ruler with the Jinx coming in to slay the sister in return. And the Jinx has not enough. Gale Force and Fishbones will take out on. Ruler's taking over. He's going for Elk, for Yagao, and he takes out the Aphelios for the triple kill. It's only Yagao who charms his way back into the base and pin on the Fiora, about to recall, but he will be delayed there by missing. And so it's 369 and Ruler going for the Nexus turrets. 2 TPs coming in, one will be Bin, the other one is Knight, but the Nexus now is already exposed. The Dash Foxfire of Yagao can only do so much as Ruler goes godlike. Just before the Nexus finally gets demolished, and JDG, they will also take game 2. And we find ourselves at the first of 3 potential match point games for JDG. They are now playing from the red side with 369 on the Cassante, Kanavi on the Sejuani, Knight, he plays the Syndra, Rule on the bot lane on Zeri, and missing. He will take the Lulu to complete this famous bot lane duo. And for BLG, it's been on the Jax. Sun playing the Nidalee, Yagao on the Nautilus, and in their bot lane, it's Elkanon on Aphelios and Thresh. And we're up 3 minutes into the game as we see on there with the death sentence. On the little Yordle missing, who gets ignited, flashes away. But on he flashes right after him to draw first blood. This squabble then the topside river between Bin and Kanavi, now to be joined by 369 and Sun. And Yagao and Knight, they also leave the mid lane to make it a 3v3. Bin is already low, he has to back off, and Knight comes in with a QE combination. Stuns Yagao, and so he will go down. Just like a Herald will almost 5 minutes later, and we hop into the bot lane again. With Kanavi connecting his bowland, he puts on the Thresh in the glacial prison. And he leaves the chain warden with no chance for an escape. And it is again on in some trouble against the bot laners of JDG. But this time they will have the numbers advantage as soon as L come in at the Aphelios, stuns missing. Connects his Moonlight Vigil, and a little Yordle gets grey screened. A BLG, they will use the advantage to summon, oh my beloved Rift Lady. And Shelly, she will ram her head into just another turret. And after 11 minutes, it's finally the first Dragon Slayer BLG, and we are back into the lane of entertainment where it's Elker getting evaporated by 3 members of JDG, and they are now going for on. But he can hover and flash away then, so we hop into the mid lane, where it's Knight who becomes the target of a depth charge there by Yagao. He also connects the hook. The Riptide follows, and together with the Apex Predator Sun, they will send him back into the base. BLG seemingly in control, at least at the moment, as they take out the outer turret in the top lane. Now about to destroy the tier 1 turret in the mid lane as well. But JDG, by the person of Knight on the Syndra in return, they will take the tier 1 in the bot lane, as good old Shelly is summoned by Sun there in the mid lane, doing to the tier 2 what a Herald does best. With a bit more than 60 minutes into the game now, we see Kanavi taking the next dragon. And we keep our eyes on the JDG jungler who gets hooked there by Yagao. Suffers his ult and another hook there by Orm, and this one will pull him into death. And we keep our eyes on the river where it's Ruler there electrified on the Zeri. And with all its fuming rage, he takes out Yagao. Let's unfollow into the death screen, and also Elk falls to the feet of Knight. Same place, just a minute later, we see Ruler taking a huge chunk of damage from the Nidalee spear, but his team will be there, and together they take out on. Now they're getting chased through their own jungle. Bin there with a leap strike on the Jax, leading the charge. They already got missing separated, and 369, he takes a lot of damage there. Now it's also Yagao coming in with the depth charge, knocking up the 369, but Knight, he's still on a Syndra, and he will not let the flank happen. BLG, they cannot find Ruler on the Zeri, and this will be their undoing. JDG, they score an ace, and now they take out the outer turret in the mid lane. Bin answers back with the tier 1 in the bot lane. But after 21 minutes, it's again JDG in the mid lane, opening the way to the opponent's base. Next dragon is up, but the action is taking place in river and topside jungle. And keep your eyes on the Cassante of 369 there. In the river, he's against Yagao. Now against Elk and also Sun, it's 4 members. But he managed to take Yagao with his all out over the wall into the midst of his team as they take out the Nautilus. Spin goes in and takes out Missing in return, but the top lane of BLG cannot stand long against all the damage that's thrown at him. And now it's 369 flashing over the wall, trying to find Elk there, but the Aphelios can get away for the moment. But instead it's the Nidalee of Sun who takes some fatal damage there. And now it's only Elk on the bot lane as alive, but just for the moment until Ruler decides to flash in, kill the Aphelios, and then it's Knight on the Syndra, completing another ace. And so it's JDG taking the next strike. And in addition, they will take a 4K gold lead to the Baron fight, where we find ourselves now. JDG's in the pit. Yagao and Bin, they're getting close. DJX jumps in with the blast gun and he takes out Knight. But who will get the Baron? It will be Sun taking it for BLG. He will pay for it with his life. But also Ruler missing, already slain on the sides of JDG. BLG, they take the Baron. They win the team fight as they send Kanavi into the realms of death. And now, the power plays on as they take the inner turret in the mid lane. The bases on both sides are now open up. As we see Bin there taking the inner turret in the top lane as well. 35 seconds left of the power play as we see out there too close to the tower, and it will be 369 pulling him in to the death. As the next team fight arises after almost 28 minutes into the game. Kanavi with the Arctic Assault on Bin. 369 with the Pathmaker on Yagao. But it's just a little squabble until now. Yagao, he's getting stunned by the permafrost of the Sejuani. And 369 he dashes in on the bot laners of BLG. He stuns Elkadon. And it will be Knight with the unleashed power of the Shinro takes out Elk. Ruler slays Yagao, and now he's deliriously going for the double kill on Sun. Ruler's just a maniac in this game. And now the rest of JDG trying to take out Bin. But the nimble Grandmaster at Arms gets away there with his life. And it will be the minions for JDG destroying the outer turret and the bot laners there, going for Soul Point, taking their third dragon of the game. And although they double the amount of the kills that BLG has, the gold is distributed pretty evenly. As we now go into the topside jungle there of JDG, where we see Kanavi getting pulled into the box of the Thresh. And the Sejuani is to take all the damage that BLG can combine for and is finally grey screened. 30 minutes into the game, the next Baron on the menu as we see Bin there with the leap and counter-strike going in, but he has to activate the Zonias. And that's 369 going in, being the tankiest frontline that you might have seen on this game. And he takes out the Jax, but the damage of Ruler is just unreal. Yagao falls. And the last three remaining members of BLG desperately trying to take out Ruler, but the Zeri is just unkillable. And so the Aphelios falls. The Thresh will follow. And now finally, Sun on the Nidalee. It's another ace for JDG. And this time, they will take this Baron for sure. It is not just Ruler, but instead the whole team coordination and the positioning that makes the team fights of JDG so crispy and deadly. And as we see Knight taking out the inner top lane turret, it's JDG at 32 minutes cracking open the base of BLG going in. The mid lane inhib is down, the Nexus turret under attack. And this could be it, they could take the series within the next seconds. BLG, they're just not giving up, they say this is our house, and so Yagao, he knocks up 4 members of JDG with a step charge. Bin follows with a sleep strike. And finally, they manage to take out Ruler on the Zeri. He seemed to be unkillable. They will lose Yagao, take out 369, but it's Knight with a double kill on Thresh, who now activates his Zonus, but not before he places another Dark Sphere to take out Sun for the triple kill. Before it's Elk with a shutdown. And a double kill on his side as he takes out Missing as well. And we're now at the Dragon Pit where it could be Dragon Soul for JDG, and Kanavi, he secures it for his team. And now the follow-up team fight. Kanavi going in with the extra damage below 50% HP. As we see 369 there, practically fighting without any HP. And only the shield kept him alive. He can get away there. But a little Yordle of Missing will be slain, and we go back to the Baron Nashor for the third time in this game. And it's Sun snatching it away for the second time in this game. And now the follow-up team fight. Bin turns golden and 369 pulls Elk into the lines of a team where they evaporate the Aphelios. No ADC for BLG. They lose their mid lane as well, but they can take out the support of JDG. But it will only help them little to nothing as they lose Sun. Now on. And finally Bin and JDG. They score another ace and they will take this game. And with it, the whole series. It will be a clean sweep for the LPL first seed against one of the best opponents in this tournament. And what a statement it is that it just left behind. They will continue in the upper bracket and send BLG down to the elimination bracket.